We are now just over 70 days into a plan to make Cincinnati safer. City leaders unveiling their 90-day plan back on June 10th to put more officers on the street, crack down on gang violence, and get guns out of the wrong hands. I just hit the streets in Avondale with Cincinnati Police Chief Jeffrey Blackwell, where gunshots ringing out is sadly the norm for families there. When I discovered those who live in those communities aren't ready to call this plan a success and approached the chief while we were out.
We're not looking for perfection. We're looking to make a difference.
Walking the streets of Avondale, Cincinnati Police Chief Jeffrey Blackwell tells me his summer safety plan or 90-day plan is working. Shootings right now are down.
At one point we were up 37%. Right now we're only up 26% from last year. So we've dropped about 11 to 12% over the last 14 days actually. We haven't had a homicide in about 10 days. I'm very proud of that.
The number of homicides for the year sits at 46. Blackwell says it's the reckless violence causing the biggest concern.
90-day plan was partially conceived to address just this. The gang unit was beefed up. As you might know, we haven't had a gang unit for the past 15 years in the city. We have one now with 23 officers. It's one of the biggest units in the department.
I've been calling the police since April. My kids was walking to school, they put a gun and put it in my kid's head.
While the beefed up efforts within the gang unit led to arrests and guns taken off the streets, the chief got a dose of reality during our walk.
They came back, they shot my house up 3 times. My baby was in there, I got a 2-year-old. My cousin got shot.
When you see somebody like that with tears strolling down and they've been shot at so many times, what's going through your mind?
I need to do a better job. Got to make the streets safer. Got to make it safer for her and her kids.
To the chief's own admission, the downward trend in violence could also be tied to the regular violence cycle they see every year, and a new spike is just ahead.
And then we have a spike that usually hits right around now in September, late August and early September. So we're looking for the next spike, and we want to help mitigate it before it starts.
Blackwell calls it a laser focus, a beefed up gang unit providing better intelligence on the key players.
Our visibility has increased. Every neighborhood in the city, when they see me, they ask for cops on the ground. They like to see cops walking around, and we've done that, including myself.
The chief says their plan is not solid and changes sometimes daily depending on the hotspot. He also says the amount of effort will not stop when the 90 days is over.
You know, when I first got here 2 years ago, I was told about certain areas that have just been this way forever. Well, I'm not accepting that.
Right.
You know,
the status quo.
The status quo, no. We can fix Avondale.
He also says he can fix other communities as well. We just received some numbers in from the gang unit, and since June, they say they have made 100 arrests, and they've also taken in 9 guns off the streets. May not sound like big numbers, but he says his crews are out there working day in and day out. And when it comes to manpower, well, the chief wants to put 1,100 officers on the streets to beef up the policing in these communities. He also told me that horse patrols that are not around right now are indeed coming back, and he plans to put those horses in some of the hotspot neighborhoods as well, Carol.
And a lot of people will be happy to see those horses, as a matter of fact. Now, I know that you talked to the police chief about his plan going forward, and that technology plays an interesting role.
That's right, it does, Carol. And actually, the chief says in the next 6 months, he hopes to have a system in place called a shot spotter system. Now, what this is, it's a series of high-tech microphones that are put into these communities, and it actually detects when a gun goes off. It can tell the difference between a firecracker, a car backfiring. It knows where the gun went off and immediately alerts police and tells them this is where the gunfire happened, and patrols can immediately go to the area. Now, of course, all these extra layers that the chief is talking about, the horses, the shot spotter system, and some others that he told us about are going to cost millions of dollars, but he says these are layers that need to be in place.